In this Creator Series interview, we'll be talking to a creator who is making some epic metal tracks in GarageBand on his iPhone. Let's welcome to the studio live today, Mr. Daniel Vowels from Mobile Metal. How are you doing today, Daniel?
I'm doing good. I'm doing really good. A little nervous, but I'm doing all right.
That is totally fine. We've got great viewers here on Studio Live today. As you know, who will be here. We've got some of them here live, some watching on the replay. So we're going to be talking to Daniel about his experience creating in GarageBand, writing metal songs, recording metal. But first up, why don't we learn a little bit more? I like to go into the origin story of folks and their musical experience. So why don't you take us back to what got you started in music?
Well, as a kid, I've always been interested in music. My mom played piano in church, and my sister played piano. So I always remember getting on the piano and just kind of messing around by them, and I started picking it up. So they knew that I had an ear for it. So
yeah,
I kind of just mess around on the piano and stuff. But then I remember my grandma bought me a guitar when I was probably 5 or 6.
Oh wow, cool.
And I didn't really pick it up that much here and there, but I remember when I was really young, and I was in the front room in my dad's stereo, and I heard the song "Crazy Train," and that just blew me away. That
was it.
they can make that noise. So ever since then, I got super interested in it, and I picked it up, and there'd be a few moments where I would put it down for a couple of years, but I remember when I got into my teen years, I kind of started picking up again. I got interested. I took lessons here and there, and just kind of, I've always been interested in music and played for as long as I can remember, really, on something.
Yeah, very cool. So, so did the piano. So you never got the piano. You never got made to do the piano lessons, like
No, I never got made to do that.
So your first musical experience was pleasant. Then it was guitar. That's cool. Yeah, it took me a while to graduate from how to do the piano lessons and graduate to the guitar eventually. So that's very cool. So now these days playing electric guitars, obviously, because you're making metal, I'm assuming, and bass. You play a bit of bass guitar as well.
Yeah, I play the bass. I always start with the guitar first, and I'll do the bass, and then I'll usually do the drums, which is probably a weird way to do it, but that's been my workflow.
Okay, cool. Well, that is good, and we will dive into your workflow, because that's always one of the most interesting things. And the reason that we do these interviews is obviously great for me to meet other creators and people creating, but one of the main reasons that I like to do this is to dive into how you actually create music and how you get your music out there. And the whole reason this is the Creator Series is that everyone, all the people watching, as well as you and me here, can create. And the fact that you're creating on an iPhone in GarageBand and you're creating some pretty epic metal tracks is pretty darn cool. So
thank you.
If there's anyone here that has questions, by the way, for Daniel, don't throw him anything too hard, no big curveballs, but if you got any questions for Daniel, feel free to drop them here live, and we'll throw them in. But I've got a few that I want to get into here. So yep, you got your family playing piano early on. You pick up the guitar, you start learning guitar. You're getting back into it in your teens and into your 20s. What is it that got you into recording? When did you actually have that aha moment where you went, hey, I like playing music. Maybe I can actually start recording some of these songs?
Well, I was in a band probably 12 years ago, and we cut a couple little CDs in here and there, and I always loved the recording. Being in the studio was so much fun.
Yeah,
I loved it. But I never thought I would be able to actually do it myself, because, you see people make, most videos you see are people that said you have to have $1,000 to even make a decent quality anything.
Yeah.
So I just, I just kind of never thought about it. And I came across your channel, and you were doing the whole interface through an iPhone. And I said, okay, I've got to try that.
Yeah.
So immediately I bought one, and, I started just messing around, getting used to it. And then I said, no, I want to do it. I'm just going to make it. I'm going to put it out there just for myself, really, because I don't know what I'm doing. I still don't know what I'm doing, really,
That is super cool. And I like to say that, people might say, what is the blind leading the blind? Like, why would you listen to someone who's not like an expert that's had 20 years experience in studios? And my view is that people are going to get more value from you because you've plugged an interface into your iPhone, you started using it, you're learning as you go, than they probably would from someone that has all the gear and all the $1 million studio, because most of us don't have that. And that's the
No.
thing. We live in the future where you have the ability to play guitar, plug it into an interface, record it on your iPhone in a piece of free software, and get some
Exactly.
sounds. So
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. Well, we'll jump around a bit because I'm intrigued. So which interface do you actually use? Because you get some pretty epic guitar sounds in those tracks. So what's your current setup? What interface you're connecting through?
Well, Steinberg UR12 because that's what I saw you use, and
Yeah.
it was not expensive. So, and the first couple tracks I did, which is Good Intentions of Virago, I used a mic through my amp,
Yeah.
and bass sounded okay. I got a decent sound, but when I compare that to an actual pro recording, it's like the edge wasn't there.
Mm.
So, and of course, that was a lot of me not recording enough tracks, and I've learned that later on.
Yeah.
But I downloaded Bias, the free version of Bias Effects,
Yeah.
and I bought the Ola amp, which is called War, and it was $3 to buy, and it's getting a really good tone so far. And I've been doing the 3-track, the left, right, and the center, and that so far it's been working out pretty well.
That's really cool. So a bit of a wall of guitars then. So using the left and the center and the right to get that big guitar sound. So what again, we're going to get into the weeds a bit, but I know we've got a lot of guitar folks here that are going to want to know the details. So when you're recording 3 guitars, what typically, what sort of tones or what sort of riffs and sounds do you have? Where do you have like your lead versus your rhythm kind of riffs when you've got 3 guitars in a track?
That's what I'm still trying to work on, because I notice when I put more rhythm stuff in there, some of the other riffs get kind of lost in the mix.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely doing more equalizing and trying to get maybe one on the left a little bit more sharper here and there, and just kind of figuring out what kind of sticks out, especially if you're doing a riff over a rhythm section. You want that riff to stick out. So I'm trying to get that to really, almost hurt your ears a little bit.
Yeah, I love that, and it's good. It's a good point. It's one of the things that I need to do. I mean, and I was talking to you just in the pre-show when we were getting set up about my recording and the fact that I don't record a lot of very heavy guitars. And people come at me and say, "Pete, I'm recording this death metal track. How do I layer up these like?"
But your guitars sound really good, though. I mean, your tracks sound amazing.
Well, thank you. And it's interesting that you mentioned about the miking the amp versus using an amp simulator as well, because I know different people have different views on that. And I think most people in the mobile recording world that I deal with now have actually flipped around quite a bit on that. I think in the last 5 years in particular, that the amp sims have gotten so good that the convenience and the quality you get from an amp simulator just plugging in direct versus having to actually mic up a cabinet, it's almost level. Like I think it's actually to the point where even if you craft your sound and you spend ages and you get mic placement and you do all of that, the convenience and the quality you get kind of overrides it. That's my experience anyway, and it sounds like
I mean, I was blown away with the tone I was getting, and I'm sure if when I learn how to mic better, I could probably get a better sound. But right now, this is working great, so I'm gonna keep messing with that, because I'm enjoying it. So.
Absolutely, and that's one of the most important things, and we talk about that a lot. That you got to have fun doing this sort of thing, and if you're miserable, if you're sitting and crying in your studio, then it doesn't matter how good a sound you're getting. If you're not having fun, it's not going to be fun. I'll throw to a user question, or a viewer question. Okay. Because I was going to ask you about this anyway, but obviously metal has a lot of guitars, but drums are pretty important. So one of my favorite YouTube names, Home of Crap. How do you record your drums? Do you use the GarageBand drums or have another technique? How do you go about drum recording?
I've used GarageBand drums on everyone except Slasher Film. I bought an app called Drum Session, I think.
Okay, cool.
The drums sound really good on it, but they're harder to program. It comes with a lot of good presets, but when you want to actually get in there and do a certain things that you want a certain bass at a certain part, it's hard to do that. I'm still trying to figure that out. So I'm still using the GarageBand drums, and I just, I think once I equalize it better, I can get more of a good sound out of it. I'm still working out that pretty, because that's the hardest part for me is the drums.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, people will look down their noses at virtual drums, but again, the convenience factor, and again, just the reality of what we're doing.
Definitely.
That you're not going to get a drummer and 8 mics and an 8-channel preamps to actually record drums, not regularly anyway.
Definitely.
Virtual drums are going to be lent on. So a good question, and thank you for asking that. Let's I'll go back to my original questions, but anyone else live here that wants to throw questions out, please do do so as we go along. So we talked about what you use there, the Steinberg UR12 primarily to record. Any other gear? So any other things that you use to plug in, or any other sort of hardware that you use with your recording, maybe vocal recording, that sort of thing that you want to share with folks here?
I bought a MXL 770 mic. It's my first condenser mic, and it's really good. I'm really impressed with that because the first couple tracks I used I don't even know what the brand is, but it looks like a SM7. What is that?
It's
I forget.
M58.
Dynamic.
Like
Yes,
vocal mic,
that's it. Yeah.
Yep.
And it sounded good, but my vocals would kind of lost in the mix. So this one really brings it out. So right now that mic has really kind of helped me in my newer songs to kind of push my vocals out better. And
Very
that's
cool.
really between that and the interface, as far as gear, if you're not, of course, not talking about my guitars or anything, that's pretty much all I have.
Yeah.
Right. So far.
And it goes to show that's really, and I did a show about gear yesterday. That's really all you need at the very start, especially if you're recording guitars, some sort of interface. And even like people have started out just those cheap iRigs that are like $20 that you just plug into your headphone jack to start with. You're going to get something better than nothing. And then as you continue on, you can level up to a USB interface. You can add a microphone.
Definitely.
And it's cool because my first interface, as you alluded to, was the Steinberg UR12, like the first real interface that I use and still use. It's still sitting in the cabinet over there. But yeah, my first mic was the MXL 550, like my first real condenser mic that I used frequently. So, and all of that combined is like a couple $100, like less than that, even if you're getting a good deal on it. So
yeah,
for that, you got an iPhone, you got a couple of $100, you can start recording
absolutely
metal songs or any other sort of songs.
Anything you want.
Yeah, totally. Very cool. Now, if you do want to check out Daniel's music, please check it out. There's 2 links below to 2 hand-picked songs that Daniel's put out there. Slasher Film, his epic metal song, Halloween inspired, and I think Good Intentions was the other one that you gave me a link to, was it?
Yeah, and that was my very first one. So I'm always proud of it, because I hear a lot of things that I would change, but for being my very first one, I'm happy with it.
Absolutely. And I mean, when we say, you've been doing this a while, like 3 months, yeah? So that was 3 months ago.
About 3 months, yeah.
4 songs in 3 months on your channel there. And I love that because, again, people on this channel get sick of me saying this, but I'm going to say it again. It is so important to not just create and record, but actually to release and to share your music.
Definitely.
And what you're going to do by sharing is you're going to get feedback from other people about what's working and not working. But it's also going to you're going to be able to look back now and you've got a catalog of work. So you can look back at that first song and go, oh my goodness, I can't believe I EQ'd that guitar like that.
Definitely.
But at the same time, you're going to look forward and go, yeah, but look at what I've learned. Look how far I've come from doing that. So
it's got charm to it almost.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you look back at that, you're like, oh, isn't that cute? Look what I used to do. But no, it's already sounding good. So that's the thing. You're 3 months in to actually home recording. Imagine 3 years in, and that's what I say to people: don't give up. Even if you're not happy with what you're doing after 3 months, don't give up, because after 1 year and 3 years and 5 years and on, you're going to be pretty impressed and blown away by what you can do. All right, so we talked hardware. Now, software-wise, you've probably already spoken to a little bit of this. So using GarageBand on your iPhone, exclusively GarageBand in order to track and to mix and to do everything?
I use GarageBand and I use Grand Finale to master, and that's the only things I use so far.
Cool. Yeah, so far. Yeah, you'll go down the slippery slope like we all do at some stage where you just start using a bunch of plugins, realize it's
I do use a lot of plugins. I get plugin happy, which I need to dial down on that because what does this thing do? What does it sound like? And then then I got a mess to mess with.
And I think that's good. I think trial and error with plugins is good. It's as long as you're not going out buying a plugin and going, I need a new plugin to make this sound cool, because it's actually really bad recording. Like, I'm just So what are some of your go-to plugins then? So what are you liking using at the moment, or any tips that you'd have for folks about good plugins for recording?
I like anything by 4 Pockets. Their Shimmer plugin for vocals is awesome. If you want to do some cool, like they have some cool reverb, shimmer, just some cool effects that it can do, and it makes you sound like you're in a canyon or in space, all kinds of stuff.
Cool.
And I haven't used it really on anything else, but I'm sure it sounds cool on other stuff too.
Okay.
And
Shimmer, that's good.
4 Pockets, and I've been checking out their other apps, and so far they're all pretty awesome. And then Clev Grand. I've like Grand Finale is really good for mastering. I've really I like how it brings everything up, because I really don't exactly. I watched your videos on the compression, all that, and I'm still figuring all that out. But I mean, it definitely, the more I learn, the more I can kind of dial it in, and it gets, I can get what I want out of it. So
Absolutely, and I think that's a really key important point here that I want to touch on is that just when you're learning and when you're dialing it in, make sure that you're listening to it back and going, okay, what's actually sounding good? Because you can watch a Pete video and I'll be saying, yeah, put your threshold at -24 and then put your ratio at 3.6 to 1. The reason that I don't tend to do a lot of that, I just say for this song, this is working because I listened to it and it sounded too crushed, so I dialed it back, and then it sounded too weak, so I dialed it up. I found the sweet spot, and there you go. So when I get questions like, what ratio, compression, thresholds, attack release do I need for hip hop vocals? I'm like, who are you? What's the timbre of your voice? What style of vocals? What mic are you using? How close or far from the mic you're recording? So the answer is a very frustrating, it depends. But your
a lot of variables, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Trial and error and trying different things is the best way to go in pretty much every scenario. Cool. So we've talked hardware, we've talked software. What I'd like to ask folks here is because you're getting into recording now, other folks are getting in, say they're Daniel, but 3 months ago before they've started their recording journey, or you probably started earlier than that, but at the very start, what's the one piece of advice you would give them that you would pass on to someone if they're nervous about starting, if they want to get started? Like what would you like to go back and tell your previous self?
Well, I mean, you're always going to be, second guessing yourself every step of the way because, you hear other people's recordings, and when you're first starting out, everybody's going to sound better than you. So you're going to get discouraged. I mean, you just are. I don't care who you are, and I think the best thing is just to do the best you can to put it out there and just honestly do it for yourself, because if you rely on everybody to, justify what you're doing, then you're not going to be happy, I don't think. I mean, and that's just in my opinion, because it's easy to like, oh, I hope everybody loves it, and it's like, I hope everybody listens to it. But if it's not performing well, you can't get discouraged. You just gotta be like, well, I'm gonna keep doing it and getting better. Because I think that's a lot of things, you hear, I mean, there's a lot of people doing the same thing, and you have to do it for yourself, in my opinion. Of course, you want people to listen to it, and that's the beauty of social media.
Totally.
and it's a blast. It's a blast when you get good feedback. It's, when you get people listening to it, it's awesome. It makes you want to keep doing it. But if they're not, you got to keep doing it, because if that's what you enjoy, then you got to, you come first. You got to be happy with what you're doing. And that's probably my best advice that I honestly would give myself.
Yeah, totally. And it's so good because it can be tough. And I think in the social media world we live in, where there's a temptation to do things. And again, we were chatting just before about why I don't do a lot of beats and sort of do a lot of videos about what might be popular, because it's not kind of my niche. And I think it would come across as quite fake and phony. And it would be pretty clear that I'm just trying to do it so that people on social media give me a thumbs up. And it's like, when you're starting out, it can be tempting to want to do things that are popular. And I think you can have it both ways. You can do things.
Which, I mean, to some people that probably works fine. And like I said, I mean, to each their own. It's just, in my personal opinion, I think it's easy to kind of, get lost in everybody else's opinion.
100%.
So,
yeah, no, very, very good advice. Yeah, do things for yourself. And yeah, I'm the same. I mean, I'd be a hypocrite to say that you shouldn't share things and you shouldn't try to do things that will help people and that are going to be popular and help people out, because that's that's what the whole purpose behind this channel. But it's great advice there to make sure that you are doing things that you are going to make you happy and that you're going to be satisfied with, and keep going and persevering. Mm-hmm. You've got a fan here. So Desolate Morning says Slasher Film is awesome. So really enjoys your track there.
Thank you.
We've got a bunch of. I'm going to miss a bunch of questions because there's a lot of folks here asking a lot of things. But Solrak M7 here. Question about the drum session app. So exactly how do you use that within GarageBand? Is that an audio unit plugin? Is it inter-app audio? How does it work?
It's the inter-app audio is when you have to go to a different page, right?
Yeah.
That's what it is, because you have to like swipe up, go, and then hit it. Yeah. And then it's got your little bar on the side, on the right hand side, I believe, and then you can hit record and play. And that's what kind of makes it hard to use, because the program drum tracks you drag up and then you go, and it's easy to kind of get it off sync. And like I said, I'm still messing with it, but it sounds good. It's just, in my opinion, right now it's hard. I'm still trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
But it's there. I think I just got to mess with it more.
Yeah, totally. And Interap audio is cool and all, but I must admit, the more plugins I get, like the Cleveground plugins that are audio bus, audio unit AUV3, just makes life so much easier because you can integrate them directly in the track as
Yes.
opposed to having to have that. And then once you've recorded that audio, then it's uneditable audio, and you've got to make sure that you're getting it right in the original app. So yeah, Interap audio can be fiddly, but a lot of the apps, a lot of the cool apps, especially drumming, I don't think anyone's cracked the cool drumming app that's also an audio unit plugin. So app developers out there you go.
Oh, for sure. That would be life changing.
It would be pretty cool. All right, Archie. So I'll jump back over here. Actually, related to drums, Jade Starr, who is a great metal producer, makes a lot of metal and hard music. Says the best thing I did this year was buy a physical virtual drum kit. Yeah. So that's I guess another tip if you wanted to get some of those epic drums in, and obviously not all of us have the space for an entire even virtual drum kit or the budget at times, but it would be.
Oh, it's
cool.
on the list. I definitely want to get one. That and a keyboard. I want a keyboard really bad.
I think you mentioned. I think you might have commented on the video recently. I did, and you're like, "Oh man, I really need to get a keyboard." In fact, keyboard is like double good because you can use that to program in your drums. So tapping on the screen, if you want to get a particular drum feel, even on your touch sensitive keys on your MIDI keyboard, you can actually punch that in. So there you go. We'll look forward to that. We'll see Daniel cranking out some drums on his keyboard. Excellent. And Jade also says EG Pulse is the best drumming app. Jade's been telling me about EG Pulse forever, and I've never used it. So
I'll check that out.
Yeah, there you go. Every time I get homework, every time I do a show, I get more homework. And I think I was saying to you at the start, like my ideas list, we were just chatting, and an idea came up from something you said. I'm like, oh, cool. There's a video.
I'm glad I could help.
Awesome. Let's jump back here. So what is your proudest moment since you started creating your own music? So in the time that you've been recording and creating and releasing and sharing music, what would you actually say, yep, this is the one thing that I look back and go, yeah, that's where I nailed it, that's where I'm most proud?
That's a tough one because I mean there's every song I've done is a learning process, and I feel like I get better each time. But I think going back to the very first one was, an achievement finishing it, and it came out better than I thought it would. Because I thought it'd be a hot mess, honestly. And because I did the drums before anything, of course, the metronome, and when it all lined up to the drums, I was like, okay, well, that worked out. But the second one, I think the riff's more complex, and I think it's got more layers in it. And the songwriting, I mean, me and my wife, we wrote that one, and actually, the writing means something, and we put a lot more into it. And I think that one would probably be the one I'm most proud of because I kind of took it to a different level and added more complexities, and I think that one was probably so far my proudest one.
Very cool. And you've let something slip there, you and your wife. So your wife into music too. She helps you co-write some of your music.
Yeah, we're in a lot of the same kind of music, and she's very good writer. So last couple I've kind of done because they were kind of quick. 'Cause I did Halloween, I did a new one for Christmas, so they were just kind of I quickly I got inspired and I got it, and it's, cool. But for the ones that, I want to, for most of the part, have something with substance. And she's definitely good at that. So we both kind of co-write and come up with something and come up with the music, and it just kind of builds on that.
Very cool. Love it. That is awesome. And it's something else that we were talking about at the start here. What is it with the Midwest and musicians and home recording? Because you're there in Missouri, and I think of the 12 episodes of this show so far of the Creator Series, I think 4 of you have been from the Midwest. What's going on in the Midwest?
Probably because it's cold outside.
I can imagine I'm out here at like 30 degrees Celsius outside my door. So I'd imagine it's a little bit cooler in the Midwest right now, heading into winter time, the serious winter. Very, very cool. So we're almost at the end here. It's flown by here. But what I usually do at the end here is actually I've got one more question. So Mobile Metal, that's pretty cool. That's a cool name. Is it as simple as you went, hey, I'm making metal on my mobile phone? Like, was that it, or is there a better story than that?
No, that's pretty much it. I was thinking of different things to call myself, and I was like, I don't want to go by my name because I just want to think of something.
Yep.
So I was thinking, well, I'm not going to really ever go perform these. Well, who knows, I might, but
Yeah.
I don't, for the most part, I just like writing music, and recording it it's turned into a passion. I got to think mobile metal.
Yep.
Yeah, that kind of works. So I was at work and I called my wife. I was like, "What do you think of this?" That's pretty cool. So, okay,
I'm
we'll go
liking
with
it.
that.
I think when you do perform, you could have people like doing this sort of thing at you. Like, yeah, you could
There you go.
get like a special mobile metal hand signal that everyone
It'll
can
make
do.
a cool T-shirt for sure.
Oh, totally. Yeah, you have to design a logo that's got like the hands there,
Definitely.
and all of the metal blood coming off it. Anyway, getting carried away. Very cool. Now, where can folks actually go to check out your music? We've been talking about it a lot on YouTube. It released anywhere else, or is the YouTube channel the best place?
YouTube and BandLab. I've been on BandLab a little bit after YouTube, and I'm having fun with it too.
Yep.
It's it's cool because I'm collaborating with other people. I'm starting to,
Ooh.
and that's kind of keeping my inspiration juices flowing. Because sometimes it's after I finish a song, sometimes it takes a while to come up with something else because I put so much energy into this. Sometimes it might be a few months before I have something I want to, I feel is good enough. So that's kind of helping me kind of get out there and work with other people, and I think that'll definitely help.
And just for the folks that maybe don't know about BandLab and how that works, and with the collaboration side, why don't you just give us a quick 30-second overview of what BandLab is and how it works?
You publish your music just like you would on YouTube, but you can actually have the ability to fork it, and if you do that, other people can hit that, and they can work off of it too, and they can do vocals or whatever because it gives them the tracks. Or you can just collaborate. You can join other bands, and you can have as many members you want, and you can just kind of work together as an actual band and create music. And I haven't been in it very long, but so far it's been fun, just kind of messing around with it.
Very cool. There you go. More homework for me, because I have heard of BandLab and I've never checked it out. And many people have said, "Hey, it's totally fun. You should get there." And I'm like, yeah, when I have to get a video out every day, I think it could probably be the worst possible thing for me. And what I do here, because I'd spend 8 hours just like jamming on other people's tunes and then forget to make a video. So maybe it wouldn't work for me.
Well, we enjoy your videos too much, so.
Well, thank you. No, it's always a pleasure to see your name pop up, and I do hope. I mentioned briefly at the start, I'm like, I think a lot of people want to learn how to make heavier music, and there's a lot of people creating EDM music, and even people like me doing singer-songwriter and rock music. I think heavier music is created, but not a lot of people are actually showing how to do it. So I'm going to put
a kind of an elitism behind it, because a lot of people will probably look at my tracks and laugh at it, honestly. But I'm having fun with it, and I'm getting better and better. So I encourage you, anybody who wants to ask me any questions, hit me up. I'll be more than happy.
Brilliant. Yes, definitely jump down into the comments. And if you're watching on the replay, especially if you haven't been here live, and I know there's a lot of additional questions here that we're not going to get to, so I'm really sorry about that. So throw them in the actual comments of the video, and I'll make sure that myself and Daniel jump down there and answer any questions that you may have as well. While you're down there, jump over to the 2 YouTube links there and check out Daniel's 2 epic tracks that he's sharing with us there. Daniel, it's been a pleasure, my friend.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much for sharing with that and for sharing your experience so far. And I know a lot of other people are going to be inspired by this and go, hey, yeah, I think I said to you at the start, if he can do it and Daniel can do it, I can do it.
You are awesome, for one thing. I love your music. So you are definitely a huge inspiration to get me into recording. So
thank you very much.
I give you all the praise goes to you.
Appreciate it, my friend. Pleasure's all mine, though. Excellent. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did like it, hit the like button. That just tells me that I should do more interviews with awesome folks like Daniel. And until next time, we'll see you on the next one. Take care.